Hi, I'm Kenzie. Welcome to my debut video, Wire Working, where I'm going to show you how to make a few different simple gemstone rings. To begin, I'm going to start with my ring mandrel. It goes from size 1 to 15, so whenever you are using this, you can decide what ring size you are or what ring size you want to make for somebody else, and you can have the exact shape instead of just guessing. So you're first going to have this. I also am using my needle nose pliers, my cutters, and then just my round nose. You also will need, today we are using 22 gauge, but you can use whatever gauge that you would like to use. Okay, so to get started, we're first going to cut about 15 inches of your wire just so you can make sure that you have a little bit of extra wire in case you need to fix anything or you need to add anything. It's just nice to have the extra. Next, what you're going to do is pick any gemstone that you would like. This is just a 6mm garnet gemstone from the Chakra mix that we sell here. So I'm going to be using this one today. So you're first just going to want to put the bead onto your wire and kind of get it sitting in the middle. It doesn't have to be perfect, I just kind of eye it. So once you have that in the middle, just to keep it on so that it doesn't slip as much whenever you're doing it, I just like to take my pliers and kind of get right beside my bead and bend it down just a little bit so that it'll stay in place. And then I do that same thing on the other side. So it should look like this, just with your little bends. And then next, you're going to take your ring mandrel, and I'm about a size 7, so I always like to kind of put it a little bit above at like a 7.5 almost, just because whenever you're making your ring, it's going to slide a little bit, and you can always make it fit a little bit smaller with the wraps that we are going to add later. So now this is also the tricky part. I like to keep my mandrel actually in my legs so that it'll stand up and it won't move around whenever I'm doing this. But to show you guys today, I'm just going to first wrap it, and this doesn't have to be perfect. You can just slide it around and move it however you need it to be. And then I'm going to make my second wrap, which can be a bit tricky. So first I like to take my one side and just wrap it around so that I have that there, and then I'll take my second side and wrap it around the opposite way, and then I'll pick up my mandrel, kind of squeeze the wire together a little bit. You just want to keep everything in place. It's not going to be perfect because nothing is secure yet. So then you will wrap it around the back, and you have pretty much the basic part of your band. So then, once you have there, in the next step, what we're going to do is wrap around this middle gemstone. So now you are just going to take your wire, make sure that it is kind of squeezed together a little bit, and then to begin the wrap, you are going to take one side. It kind of is whatever side looks like it's going to wrap better. So like this side here, which is my right, I will wrap this underneath first, just because that's the way the wire is already setting. So first I'll just make that wrap, and then I'll make sure it's nice and tight, and I'll hold it down and wrap it again. Now, of course, you can make however many wraps you want. You can make it how you want it, make it your own. But then, once I have my one wrap, you can make your other wrap first, it's kind of up to you, but I sometimes like to go in, I'll just cut a little bit of my excess off there, because I'm not going to need all that wire. And then I'll just wrap this one side. You take it under, and then you want to get it as close to the gemstone as you can. I'll just take my one side, wrap it, once I get it in the spot that I want it, I'll pull it tight. And this first wrap doesn't have to be perfect. I just kind of do this to keep everything in place so that it's easier to work with. But then I'll go back on here, make sure it's nice and tight, and then I'll begin to make my second wrap around the top. So I'll wrap it here, make my second wrap. You can wrap it once or twice, however many times you would like. And then bring it back over here. And now you can take that off again and then begin to tuck this under as well. So I'm going to cut my access again and then tuck that over. Make sure everything is secure, because whenever you're doing this, your wire is going to want to move, and you can always kind of adjust it after you are done, but you want to make it as perfect as you can while you can. Then I'm just going to put that under, kind of mess with it a little bit. See, mine, whenever I tried to tuck it under, it kind of pulled out over here, so I'm going to untuck this side again. Make sure this is all put together. And then I'm going to try to tuck that in there again. So you have your basic tucks, it's wrapped around your gemstone, and so now you are secure, and in the next step you can begin wrapping around the band of your ring to make sure everything is nice and in place. So now we are just going to wrap around. I'm just going to start on whatever side I want. I'm going to start on the right side. I will take my wire, and I actually cut a little bit off just to make this process a little easier so that I don't have a long piece of wire that I'm trying to tuck under. So I'll tuck this under, kind of pull it with my finger. You want to get it as close to the first wrap as you had made before. You want to make sure your wraps are nice and tight together. So I'll get it in about the place that I want, and then I'll take my needle nose pliers and I'll just pull it tighter. And then usually I'll go in and just kind of fix my little bands right there and push them together. You can wait until the end to do this, or you can do it right away. Then I'll go under again, pull this a little bit, adjust it with your fingers, and then pull tight. And you can make however many you would like, but usually I stick to about 3, maybe 4. It just depends on how big your gemstone is, how you want the ring to look. It's really up to you. But I'll just wrap it again real quick, push those together so that it just has that nice and secure. Also, if your ring is a little big, I've found that if you make your little coils around the side, the more you make, the smaller it is going to make your ring by just a little bit. So you can always use that as like a little hack. But now I'm going to take this side and just begin tucking it. Make sure that's in place, and then I'll pull. And you can always do this with your pliers, you can do the whole process with it, but I find it easier to just kind of get everything together with your fingers first and make sure everything's in place, and then make everything secure with your pliers. Because once you pull with your pliers, it's going to be very hard to get those little coils undone. Let's see, I'll do one more to match my side. Pull her tight, and then it should look like this. So now you're just going to take your cutters. You're going to want to kind of make sure that the wrap is not on the inner part of your ring, because you don't want to cut it and it not be pressed down fully or it come up and then just scratch your fingers. So you're just going to try to get it on the outside there. Take your cutters. You want to get as close as you can. Just go ahead and do the other side real quick as well. Okay. And then I'll take my needle nose and I'll just press that down to make sure it's sitting nice and it's not going to poke up. Okay. So then, just the final step that I kind of like to do sometimes is then I'll take my mandrel again and I'll just stick it on there. You can put it either way, or you can fit your bead into this middle part if you want. And I'll just push it down and kind of adjust the sides and make sure everything has a nice shape to it. Then take it off and you have a ring. Okay. So that's my ring from the garnet that we had. I also had made one in the jade, and then we also have a amethyst from that same exact pack. Moving up, these ones are a little bigger. This is a 8mm, so we have 3 of those. And then this is a blue goldstone one that I had just made, and this one actually has 2 tiny little beads that are just stuck in the side. You can always add whatever you would like. Then this one is just a little carnelian gemstone with some black wire instead. This wire is actually super thin. I don't remember exactly what size, but I'm guessing it was like a 24, maybe even a 26. It's super tiny. And then, if you stay tuned and watch our future videos, we will be showing you a little bit more of advanced rings. This one, for example, just has 3 pearls that you put on the wire instead and then made your wrap. So you can always add, take off, whatever you would like. This one has the coils going randomly around with 3 beads and then some little swirlies added. So if you like this video and you're interested in seeing what other rings that you can make, stay tuned and we will show you. If you need any supplies, be sure to check the link below. Thank you so much for joining me in my first ever YouTube video, and I hope to see you guys again.